Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!
Oh, how dare we? How dare we? Hey all, welcome, welcome. It is Thursday. Jesus Christ, this week is forked. It's Thursday, and Miss Thunberg has been on trial for the second time this year. So I thought we would go through it a bit. Hello, Scandinavian Sadie, psychotic doll, Tianina, Amy, Ohio, this way up. Dave, I saw earlier. Yeah, and Wim is here. Yeah. Well, I'm always covering some American stuff. So when this showed up in my feed, I thought, well, maybe now is as good a time as any to show you all at least a bit about Swedish trials. And now, when I say show, I'm very liberal with that word because in Sweden we don't get televised proceedings at all. We don't get sound unless a news agency wants it, and it takes a good month and a half before the transcripts are ready to be ready to be produced to news sources and news agents and stuff. But I do have news reports from the proceedings, which with some summary. But hi Michael, and hi DW3. Well, let's start first with some of these, the YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, and all of that. Yeah. Well, first of all, let's go through what she actually have. Oh, crap. That was not the button. Oh. Let's see. Oh. There. This was the scene back in June. There. In Malmö Harbor. And she had a sit-down protest outside a small oil refinery down in the Malmö oil harbor, where she and a dozen other kids sat down and refused to leave. And, what is that in Swedish law? Well, that would be against the Order Act. Ordningslagen is the name in Swedish. And the Order Act is how to conduct yourself in public, more or less. And it also regulates some of protestings and stuff like that. Now, in Sweden, the right to protest is in our constitution. You don't have to apply for permits as long as you do it peacefully and not in hinder of the society. Now, Greta and her friends are not about keeping civil. So she was charged with, you could call it she is charged with not listening to the police when they said she and her friends were well disobedient, so to speak. Oh, she's not being sued. This is criminal charges. She's been in through 2 criminal trials this year. Don't become a nuisance. Gotcha. Well, you can always be a nuisance as long as you don't affect the normal of the society. Now I have let's talk about this. I had to. This is a part of the police training at Umeå University. A study of the crimes of riot and disobedience to law and order. So this is what they are training the cops in, how to react and how to identify people who are in disobedience to law and order, and also riot, but she is not charged with rioting. What they have is the active participant, runs with the crowd, roars and stuff like that. You have the leader, you have the instigator, gathering of people, united violence, grounds for detention, and all of that stuff. So this is what the cops has to do with when it comes to these charges. How to react when people don't do as they are told. So Dave says, I'm glad that I am not treating her special because of her disability. Yeah. Yep. Well, she handles herself. She sees this as civil disobedience. Am I reading from the Communist Handbook? Yeah, more or less. Because everything we see here can be used more or less freely by the cops. I wonder if Sal could fix it. No. No. Dirk says, I think getting arrested for a photo op is intentional. Yeah, of course. She is famous. Of course. But she sat down with her friends and disobeyed. Now, she did this the first time back in June. And I have to translate here for you because I didn't have time to auto-translate this. Part of civil disobedience is paying the fine when you get arrested. We will get to that. We will get to that, Mads. And Greta Thunberg participated in an action in the oil harbor in Malmö in June. Now she is fined by Malmö court. She says it's absurd that those who act in line with science pays the price for it, she says in a press conference. Now, you could argue against that a bit because I mean, what can you say? Acting in line of science, is that really what they are doing when they are doing all of that? I would assume not, because scientifically, civil disobedience in certain cases it works. But this sit-down protest has been going on now for a few years and really haven't done anything. Thank you, Dirk, for gifting membership. Thank you. It shows here now. Good for you, StreamYard, that I can see these. And it was gifted to Dave Umbarger. Congratulations and welcome back, Dave. Now, so this was in June. She was charged. She was put on trial. She had to pay a fine. The same day as she as the court date. She did it again. But this time they took a while to get her to court. Because if you once, okay, throw some money in and we'll let you go. Second time, now they are getting a bit annoyed. The police and the courts. Okay. So what happened here was, let's see if I can find it. Here is the summary of the trial. So I will read here from Aftonbladet. Thunberg will go pro se in court. She will appear without a lawyer. And that's always a good sign, isn't it, people? Is she even in school? Oh, she has. I think she finished school. So yeah. So now she is a full-time protester. Let's see here. The verdict is will be at the same day. The court is led by Judge Johan Kvart, the Honorable Johan Kvart. Prosecutor Jörgen Larsson says that Thunberg has made herself guilty of disobedience to law and order. She did this with intent. She answers, I was at the scene, but my actions should be free of responsibility due to the... How do I translate that? The emergency. Because the climate crisis is a crisis that threatens health and life. That's her answer. The prosecutor plays a film from when Thunberg was arrested. Prosecutor called the police as a witness. He was at the scene at the action. At the scene, at a movie, you can see how Thunberg and several other activists are sitting on the street and stopping traffic. Police says they are in disturbance of public order. Now Thunberg. She says, we damage the fossil industry, the oil industry, which are those who have which has committed the true crime here. We are in an emergency situation. There is a danger that is a threat to life and is a danger to health. And therefore, stopping the oil industry is an action that proceeds the crime of disobedience to law and order. Therefore, she shouldn't be convicted of a crime, she says. One of the cops testifies. He says the first person walked away from the street voluntarily. 6 people had to be removed by police. Of them, Thunberg was one of them. She chose to stay. Thunberg was one of the people who had to be removed from the scene. They couldn't drive in or out from the tank cars, I don't know, couldn't drive in or out, because if they did, they would have hit these kids. Thunberg gets the opportunity to ask questions to the witness. She asks, how would you feel if you were a young person today and you saw your future being threatened? The judge stops her. He says that this trial is not a democratic event. Therefore, she cannot say what she wants. It has to have bearing on the trial. She answers, science has concluded that we are in a fast accelerating climate crisis. We don't have the laws that we need to protect the earth and to keep coal in the ground. Who are the laws meant to protect, she says. The prosecutor says that the fact that the next climate action was just hours after the verdict in her previous court case is what he calls a flagrant. What's that word in English? Sorry, folks. Relapse. Relapse is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I got home from work 10 minutes before I started streaming. Okay, then they say, no, that was it, more or less, from the trial. I guess it was much more than that, but this is from the newspaper, and this is what they chose to give out to us. In the break, court is in session, and then Thunberg is convicted for disobedience to law and order. She is fined to this is a special kind of, they call 90 daily fine of 50 Swedish krona. That would be, Jesus Christ, math. About $400, which is a rise from, which is higher than the first trial. Yeah. Is she Swedish? Yeah, Greta Thunberg is Swedish. So she was fined 4,500 Swedish krona, which is about $400. Now, what else can we say about? Well, this is a second trial for the same crime. She says she's going to continue. This is her so-called civil disobedience. And civil disobedience in this case is she is going to continue doing it, she and the others. Because the more that does it, it will swamp the courts with these tiny, tiny trials. So that is the goal for Miss Thunberg and the rest of them. Matt says, if an activist can pay $400 and get a lot of press, most would consider that a good deal. Yeah, so far. But as a repeat offender of the same crime, the next time she's on trial, which probably will happen, now we are talking about probably probation. If she continues after that, she can face jail time. Now, just this disobedience to law and order, that has a maximum of 6 months in prison, a maximum. So once she is at that level, you can't stack it on top of each other. Well, thank you, Alabama Rose. Yeah, please don't be scared to throw in a tip or two. I would much appreciate it. And let's see. Sadly, she held a press conference. The problem is Swedish copyright laws. I can show it because they would demonetize me in a second. Just for your knowledge, fair use in Sweden does not exist. Unless I do a parody or am an actual news organization. So, yeah. But here's a fun part. Greta Thunberg has come out as at least not a nuclear power. She hasn't come out against nuclear power. Contrary. Yeah, it's in the works. It's in the works to get my media license. To make parodies. How dare you! Jesus. She is not against nuclear power. She was against when Germany chose to close down their nuclear power. She was very, very much against it. So she's not entirely climate action, blah, blah, blah. Digger 420. Yeah, this about the brainwashing thingy. I mean, for me, as I've probably read more about her than the average American, and about her condition and her diagnosis and stuff like that. For me, she's hyper focused, which can be good in some cases, bad in some cases. Now, her mother is an opera singer, and her father I think, is some kind of writer. None of them, before she started with this, didn't really care for environmentalism, as far as I know. Now, they did release a book when she started with her school strike for climate stuff. So, nuclear power makes the most sense for the climate. Yeah. And as Fedorescu says, climate nutters hate nuclear power. It ruins their grift. Yeah. Here's the thing with nuclear power. We all have Greenpeace to thank for this in Europe, because Greenpeace in 1998 started a company called Greenpeace Energy. Later, it changed name to Green Planet Energy. Then, after the Fukushima disaster, or as the rest of the world calls it, that tsunami happened. And then all of a sudden everybody should close down all the nuclear power in Europe, even though we don't have the geology for it, or enough water to create such a tsunami. And what happened was that Green Planet Energy, by its name, would assume, only wind, only solar, only hydro plants. No, up until 2020, 98% of what they sold was gas. Not biogas, fossil gas. Yeah, so Greenpeace makes money from Russian fossil gas. Now you might have an explanation to why Greenpeace are against nuclear power. Ta-da! But let's get back to Greta. Her civil disobedience. Now, she argues in front of the court that she shouldn't be convicted because climate crisis. The court doesn't agree because there simply is no law or no precedent for that conclusion that Ms. Thunberg does. But her civil disobedience is, well, she keeps doing it, and she will keep doing it, and she will pay her fines. She will have that probation. Now, I don't think it will ever go as far as actual jail time. That's very, very, very unusual. Even if she does it once a month, they will just increase the fines until she can pay it. But she has a big circle, and that I believe is her aim for this, is to get more people to do it. Now, I do believe she is against the glue themselves to stuff. Just to sit down and get removed. Not the glue yourself to stuff, because that has no bearing. If you cannot pay a fine in Sweden, do you have to sit it off? No. it will be sent off to a government collective service that will start to duck your pay. They will go through your bank accounts. They will go through if you have other possessions. They are called Kronofogden, and that's a government agency. So if you can't pay, it will just accumulate, and then they start to dock pay. So if Miss Thunberg has a bank account, which I assume she has, if she has some kind of property or anything, they could start to force her to sell off stuff to pay for her fines. Do I have any more questions? Louis Hellier psyched. Thought this was a joke. Saint Greta on trial. Yeah, twice this year. No worries. Sorry. And I know the conspiracy theory that her parents forced this on her, but I think you could argue that maybe, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but for me, with her Asperger's and everything else, I simply think she's hyper focused, and this is what she's hyper focused about. One of her private places. I don't think she honestly, I don't think she owns anything, and because she's been gifted everything. Whoops. Federica, I think her Asperger forces it on her. That could very well be it, because I'm not a shrink. I don't know what makes Asperger's or whatever it is, but I do know what hyperfocus is, and that people with certain kind of Asperger's has the tendency for it. Matt says her parents probably put the ideas into her head, but all parents put idea into their kid's head. She's just not the pragmatic type. Maybe. But also in schools in Sweden, it's taught. Environmentalism is taught in school. So it's not hard to be hyper-focused about that if you have the tendency for it. So can't blame. What I can say about her parents is, what was that book's name? The climate book, something like that. Yeah, climate book. Dun dun dun. And she's been co-author of a few other books. One is called Breaking Boundaries. Scenes from the Heart. Yeah, I mean, she and her parents are publishing books. So yeah, there is income in it. But I don't know what came first, her hyper focus or her parents. Hey, let's monetize this. I don't know about you, because if I had a kid hyper focused, become world famous, would I write books? I don't know. I hope I will never be in that situation. But they're not poor people. Her parents, they don't need the money, because let's see, her mother, Malena Ernman. Let's see her. Dun dun dun. This is her. Dun dun dun. This is Malena Ernman. Now, she has some fame to her, because she not only is she an opera singer, she's been singing at most of the world's opera houses. She was in the Eurovision. song contest a year, about 15, 20 years ago, maybe. Coffee Cup says, I had no idea she'd been arrested, not arrested on criminal charges. That she do this pro se tells us so much about her. Yeah, but if she knew she would be convicted, why pay for a lawyer? Because she's not eligible for. She might have just only said, no, I'll save that money because I will get convicted anyway. Yeah, and here's the thing about Swedish. The distinction between civil and criminal there are two very separate things. For instance, defamation in Sweden is criminal. You can get fined, you can get prison time for defamation. For instance, if the depp we heard had happened in Sweden and the courts here came to the same conclusion as they did in the Virginia court, chances are that Miss Heard would have spent quite some time in prison. Because here it's not civil, it's criminal. You can sue, but that rarely happens. But that's one of the things that are different between. Let's see more about Malena Ernman. Yeah, I can't play this. Yeah, just showing some stills. Eurovision Song Contest 14 years ago. Okay. Her song was called La Voix. And you can search it for yourself on YouTube. It's up there. I can play it. I will get hit immediately. Just saying. Dirk, all I know about Eurovision I learned from watching Father Ted. Oh. Yeah. My little horse. Ohio Palm Mom. I'm a little bothered by the recurring description of her being hyper-focused. If we were unaware of her diagnosis, it would be called being passionate about the cause. I stand corrected. You are perfectly correct with that. Yeah. History is filled with people who did more or less the same things without having a diagnosis. She would be called passionate about the cause. I mean, Catholics have one really, really good example in Jeanne d'Arc. She was, what was she, 14, 15, when she started hyper-focusing about everything. And then a few years later, she was burned at the stake. Now she's a saint. Oh yeah, I have a Rumble channel. So could you reenact trial transcript with a friend? You just did a great, how dare you? Oh, yeah, but that I don't. There's not much more to say about Greta Thunberg. She's been at trial twice this year. Once in July, once just a few days ago. So twice this year. I would assume we will find her in court again. And yeah, we will see what will happen next time she does anything. And here's the troublesome part. That court day on, I think it was on the 10th, lasted, let's see here, about 2.5 hours. But all I have is more or less a conclusion to tell you all. It was probably much more was said, much more was presented. I can't show you the video and stuff like that because Swedish courts are closed. No video, no audio. You barely can get in and make a court drawing. So that's how we are here. I wish we would change, because I think it has great value if a European court justice system decides, no, we should be able to at least publicize some cases, just to see the difference, why we do things the way we do it, and stuff like that. All right, what's going on later this week? Well, tomorrow, finally Friday, I reach 3,000 subscribers. Yay! And I can't do, I set it up as a drinking stream. It won't be, because Saturday I have to be on my cousin's newborn is getting baptized, or youngest, not newborn. She's a few months old. So yeah, so so I can't drink on Friday, and at least not much. I don't, because I have to drive to the church, and I don't want to be hungover in church. That won't happen. And so and also Friday I have a members only stream. So about Hugo. If you don't know who Hugo is, ask the others. Hugo the ass burner is a plant, a chili plant, that my members named. So and now we have news about Hugo and the fruits and the seeds. So if you haven't updated your memberships and stuff like that, it is high time to do that now, so you can be in that member stream and on Discord, so we can talk about how we can get you seeds from Hugo. All right, that would be. I wish I had more to say about these court cases, but there simply isn't much to say about it. I don't have the transcripts, and I don't have time to wait a month and a half for the complete transcripts. Kelly Waller says, I thought the hangover was how you knew you needed to go to church. Yeah, but not when little child is getting baptized. Then no, I need to be at least pretend to be coherent. All right, I'm going to send you over to Aussie Overlord, but let's just send you off with a bit of a message from Greta.
Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you!